Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia. Welcome to a new Let's Play series on the channel. And we'll be kicking off our Liu Hong campaign. And Liu Hong here is the Emperor of the Eastern Han Dynasty. And he is given the title of Inconsistent Emperor. And we're going to be playing his campaign, which is labeled as very hard. And when they first came out with the Mandate of Heaven DLC, it was actually quite a joke because they didn't plan it out. And you could actually beat the Yellow Turbans by doing nothing for about 40 turns, and your generals in the north would just wipe them out. But since then, there has been many patches to the Mandate of Heaven campaign, and they have made his court mechanic much more difficult to get rid of generals, so that he's actually, I would say he's hard, maybe. If you don't know what you're doing, he could be very hard, but I think he's actually pretty easy if you know what you're doing, and we're going to be demonstrating that to you guys in this Let's Play series. So the Emperor himself, nothing too special. He cannot be deployed on the battlefield. That is part of the rule here. And you have many characters in your court who are just court characters who cannot be deployed. That includes the Empress and all the eunuchs at court. He has one background bonus called 200% income from family estate. Basically a very rich background. But this bonus is actually bugged. I'll show you guys in game. This is something that I have reported to CA about. Hopefully developers are going to patch this up in the future, because instead of 200% income from family estate, which you should receive, you only get 2%, which is rather, a joke, because the Emperor is only getting a 2% bonus to his income, while, some rich background character like Sun Jian's getting 25%. And we have a faction specialization here called political influence. This is a special resource we have. We need to use this resource to get rid of characters from our court. All court assignments for the Han Empire here under Liu Hong has a finality to it. Means once you put them in that office, you can't flip-flop them whenever you want. You need to pay a cost to move people from their current office. And once you have that position open up, you have to really think about who you want in those positions. Because if you put them there and you regret it, it's going to be very expensive to get rid of them. And because you start out with the Imperial Court, with it pretty much all filled up, you have to spend a lot of your early game effort fixing your court. And this is pretty much the only big challenge you have playing as Liu Hong. And this is the challenge that we're going to overcome here in episode 1 right away, because we're going to fix the court right off the bat. And another special feature is that we have command of the Imperial Army. We start the game with a shattered force. The game previously gave you a fully powered Imperial Army commanded by your brother-in-law He Jin, but they realized that was way too strong. You could beat the game with just that army. So what they did is they gave you a very damaged force, and since there is a very low replenishment rate on these Imperial Army units, because there's a replenishment penalty, you won't enjoy a full force until quite later in the game. But that's fine, because you don't really need to have strong military conquest in the beginning. You have many allies in your empire, or subjects as I should say, that can keep the Yellow Turbans at bay. And victory condition for us is very simple. We just have to end the Mandate War, which means we have to eliminate all 3 Zhang brothers in the north, and we win. As long as we don't lose our capital, it's very hard to lose actually. Losing is quite difficult for Liu Hong, despite the fact that it's very hard. You might give up, because if you don't get the court managed correctly, you might just be a big hole in terms of economy as your court drains all your money and you just give up on the game. But it's hard to lose because you can just defend your capital, and the Yellow Turbans can never win the Mandate War. Now, as for the characters you have He Jin, who is your brother-in-law. He is Empress He's older half-brother, and he's the title of Butcher of the He. This just means the He clan were actually butchers, and that he was a butcher before he became a general, thanks to his sister who became an empress. And Yuan Shao, the preeminent commander, starts out in your court, but like Kong Rong, both of these characters will have events where they will go out and create their own kingdoms, or rather factions, much like how they start out in 190. They would just leave our court. Hopefully we won't get to that point, but this just means I don't recommend you investing a lot of your time on these generals, because they're destined for greater things by themselves. Aside from that, we'll talk about everything about Liu Hong's faction once we jump into the game. We're going to be playing this without any mods, just for a pure experience here into managing the court. And we'll be doing this on legendary 40-minute battle timer as usual. And let's jump into the game here.
四海之内，流言风起，皆云天数有变，汉作已终。张氏兄弟揭竿而起，意在诛灭无道昏君，推翻汉王朝。雄心野望如燎原之火，一星难灭，终至欲壑难填。试问天下有谁能抵挡权柄的诱惑呢？宦官们对汉室倾颓视而不见，依旧为自己攫取着更大的权力。那些曾忠于汉王朝的诸侯，则看到了机会。事到如此，天下人无不设法为己身谋取利益，而张角则盘算着要君临天下，统御四海。天子大权旁落，皇后和宦官们争权夺利，作乱朝政。战火已是一触即发，不知要流尽多少鲜血，才能使天下重归一统。陛下，你乃当今大汉天子，然如今四海之内，叛乱风起。
民情未察，乃有此乱。妖贼造言惑众，哄骗良人，乃至幽计大乱。朕当速速出兵抗乱。大汉天威，谁敢不从？朕当广开言路，问询咨议，传政令于万民。
诚如陛下所言，臣自当勤勉不懈，以息天下之乱。
皇后贤良淑德，是您的贤内助。兼之有大将军何进兴兵讨逆，暴民和叛党必将一败涂地。
此言不虚，幽计贼人以区区之众迎天下百万之师，早晚休矣。
你乃是天命所归，然而却有作乱为祸之徒，妄称天命，企图颠覆汉室，千万别让他们得逞。
Alrighty, the Emperor under heaven, the passage of the seasons, the blessings bestowed by the heavens, the trying times of hardship, all come and go. The Han endures, as it always has, as it forever will. You are leader of many, appointed by divine right, but human desires are not always noble. They are those who covet the which is rightfully yours, both within the empire and without. Long united must divide, thus it has ever been. So, we are the empire, and it's not going to divide under our rule. We have a first mission here to engage in the falling general's army. They're just a looter army. The reward, however, it's very attractive, 80 political influence. So before we get started, we need to talk about a lot of things. There's a lot of things to talk about playing as Liu Hong. And first, let's take stock of what we have. We have just the capital. We don't even have any of the counties. And if we look to the north, the Yellow Turbans are just getting started. This is in 182, so the rebellion has not officially kicked off yet. And our empire is very much intact. If we look at diplomatic screen, all this yellow are subjects of our empire. We are the emperor, and they pay us tributes, and we redistribute the income back to them. This is how it's worked, and that's how it's going to stay. We have an empty territory here because the raiders have actually raised the trade port. But what makes our game difficult for us is all the negative effects that comes with our court. So like all factions who become king or emperor, we have the Imperial Court, but we have it from the beginning. And we get an extra special resource here called the Faction Resource Screen, balancing between the bureaucrats, the dynasties, and the warlords. These are 3 different factions represented under Liu Hong's court. Right now, our court is overran with the so-called bureaucrats. And there's 5 tiers of bureaucratic levels. And you see this is 0 from 90, the max of 90 bureaucrat points. And right now we're at 89. So we're full. We're fully at tier 5. If you drop it below a certain point, it will drop to tier 4. I think the cutoff is 74 or 72 because it's 18 point per each cycle. So you need to drop it below 72 to go to tier 4. And the problem we have right now, since it's tier 5, is that we lose 5 trade agreements. We gain 250% construction cost. We gain +3 construction turn. We do gain 125% character experience. And finally, 125% recruitment cost. So basically, this represents the corruption of the bureaucrats. And we can't get anything done because the build time is crazy long, the building cost is crazy high, and we can't trade. So this is the first thing we need to fix. Now, what's making up our 89 points? We have 50 points from court positions. These are court positions occupied by these guys with the symbol representing the bureaucrat. So we can take a look at Zhengwen, for example. Zhengwen is giving us +4 bureaucrat influence, because if you just put for faction wide, and also character himself, so because he's in this position, he's giving +4, and then because the character himself is giving +3, 2 more, so a total of 6 points from him. Now compare this to Chen Dan, who has +4 and +2, so they're the same. But look at Kong Rong. Kong Rong is +6, +3. So every character has a different weighted amount of how much they provide, and the higher their court position is, the more points they will provide. So take, for example, here, Cui Lie. Cui Lie also has the +2, similar to Zhang Wen and Chen Dan, but Cui Lie doesn't have the +4 because his minister position is much lower than the Grand Excellency position. So he's causing less harm to our kingdom in terms of how many bureaucratic points he's providing. So from this court, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bureaucrats in our court, and they are giving us 50 points from these 9 people. So quite a bit of points from the bureaucrats. And then we have 39 points from the eunuchs. Now, if we look at our court, you see this little hat symbol next to a character. This means this character cannot be deployed. These hats are given to the emperor, the empress, and all the eunuchs within the imperial court. So all these eunuchs are not available to be deployed. You can put them as administrators, you can put them as assignments, you can put them into your court. You can even adopt them if you want. That's totally fine. But they can't be used in an army as a general. That's the restriction on them. And each of them carries with them a eunuch trait. So this trait is given to all eunuchs, and this trait passively provide -4 authority, +3 bureaucratic influence. So that's where the 3 points come from. -1,000% chance of having children, and -1,000% chance of having illegitimate children. So having kids when you're married, it's a game mechanic, and also having kids when you're not married with someone who is married, illegitimate child, is also a game mechanic. And they give it -1,000 just in case one of the person have like a multiplier. Let's say fertile trait has a +50% chance of having kids. So if you just write 100 here, you might still have a 50% chance of having kid with a eunuch. So they want to prevent that and just slap a big 1,000 on them. So that's how it works. Additionally, they do add 10% to character salary faction wide. So each of our 13 eunuchs, and we know there's 13 because right here you have 39 points, divide that by 3. So we have 13 eunuchs in our court. These 13 eunuchs are giving us 130% extra character salaries faction wide. So every character is more expensive because we have these eunuchs, and we have so many more bureaucratic points because we have them as well. They do provide one good stat in that they provide us with 2 food each. So that's the only pro you get out of this. So we need to get rid of all the eunuchs. We need to get rid of most of our bureaucrats in the court. And then the other 2 wheels that we see here, dynasties represent the imperial power, the imperial household power. So the bonuses focus on your own strength. how many armies you have, how many assignments you have, how many ranks for new generals. And then at tier 3, now this wheel is different from that wheel. 90 points, 60 points max. So each tier is only 12 points. So at tier 3, or after you go above 24 points, what happens is that you'll suffer a diplomatic relationship with all factions. This is all factions on the map, including your subjects. Means the emperor is becoming too strong, too centralized, and now your subjects are starting to fear you or become scared of you diplomatically. But you can also start annexing subjects, means you can take over whole factions within your own kingdom if you want. And then you can continue to go higher tier. It decreases the relationship even more, but give you more army, give you more assignment, give you more level for new generals, all the way till tier 5. I personally don't actually like this mechanic. I don't think this is the best way to play Liu Hong. As the emperor, we don't need to be the aggressive type. Really adding more armies doesn't really help you. I tend to like to gather warlord influence, because warlord influence also 60 points. Give you income for all resources, for all allied factions. Means everyone in the empire will get rich, and as they get rich, you get rich because they pay you tribute. And you are also part of the ally faction, so you also enjoy this bonus. You also give all allied factions 2% replenishment. Okay, so this will help your armies replenish faster throughout your empire. All your subjects will do better in combat. And then starting at tier 2, you get additional trade routes. And then tier 3, you will lose some satisfaction with your own court, but this is really a very minor penalty. Because you start out with the Imperial Court, all these characters' authority points provides you with extra satisfaction. So if you look at Liu Hong here, who has the highest authority in the game, his authority is 190 at the start of the game. You provide 13 satisfaction point faction wide, and then everyone else plus 7 from Kong Rong's authority, plus 1 here, plus 1 here. He's not giving you any bonuses because he's not of age yet, and then plus 3, plus 7. So you can get a lot of authority stats from your court, from your traits. So this minus 5 here is nothing. And you get more money, you get more replenishment. You also can have war coordination with subject. It means I can tell my subjects to attack someone, much like how you can tell a vassal to attack someone. And then you can continue this. The final tier, the penalty is minus 15 points of satisfaction. Really no big deal. And you get 25% income to all sources and 10% replenishment. So this is kind of the battle you're doing with your court to try to balance the wheel in your favor. And let's say I want to get rid of this guy who is a eunuch and a bureaucrat. So he's doing extra harm to us. He's losing us 6 points in the position, 3 points from himself, and then 3 additional points because he's a eunuch. So he's contributing negative 12, like 12 points by himself. So if we want to get rid of him, looking at here, we can't banish him, we can't release him from service, we can't remove him from office because we don't have any political influence points. The game made it so that you need 80 points of political influence, which is your faction resource here, to get rid of him. And the only way to gain this is through missions, through Liu Hong's personal assignment. He has a personal assignment that's only available to him that he can use to increase political influence, or you can build your palace building. So the administrative office chain will give you a little bit of political influence and help you gain points here. So this 12 points from building that we're gaining every turn comes entirely from our palace building, or the administrative office building that we're building inside our kingdom here. You do get bonuses from this. Right now it's 12 plus 2 public order. I actually never played Liu Hong aside from the preview video that we did when it was released. So I actually don't know what happens when you have high political influence, whether the bonus will grow, because pretty much every time we had enough, we fire someone. So that's why we don't know what the bonuses are. But in the late game, if we even have a late game, I expect you to have, an overflow of political influence, because we'll be able to get rid of a lot of these characters already, and this will build up, and we'll see the different level of bonuses going forward. So this is our court. Empty positions can be filled right away. Doesn't need to spend any political influence to do that. But if they're currently in a spot, you can't move them. You have to either kick them out of your faction, release them from your faction. There's a difference here because this has a satisfaction hit, but it'll give you a little bit extra money. This will only get rid of the character himself. Your faction won't feel a thing. You won't get any money for this. And this means he stays in your faction. He loses 20 points of satisfaction because he got removed from office. It's very standard. And you also gain a corruption penalty when you do this. So really don't do this that much. Because of these factors, when you pick someone to go into your court, you better be very sure you want that person to be in your court, because it's very hard to get rid of them and still keep the character. So that's why I say there's a, finality to it when you make a decision. So that's our court. All right, so that's our court, that's our resource. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look at our items. So, all right, this is more than perfect. Okay, so we have what we need. So what happens here is that you only care about this item right here, the eunuch. If you don't have it, it's totally fine. We got super lucky with it. I was going to spend about 5 minutes looking for it, and we probably can find another one if we look, because there is a ton of people you can ask. And what you want to do, having two is okay as well. We're going to basically look through these guys, see if they start out with a eunuch like us. And the reason why we want eunuch is that the eunuch can solve our own eunuch problem, because it's the only item in the game that hurts satisfaction. Usually you look for like a concubine or a philosopher, or maybe even legalist fanatic, which gives +6 satisfaction. But in this case, we want minus satisfaction because we want our court to leave. No one has a eunuch? Usually there's someone with a eunuch. If you have 2 eunuch, it just go a lot faster. If you have 1, one's good enough. 1 can solve most of your court problem by turn 2. But let's just check to see if we can get another one. And then we can do it really fast. But yeah, we really lucked out with that one. Nothing here. Liu Biao. Nope. Inspector. Mathematician. Seriously? Oh, there's a concubine. We could trade for that too. So you actually have a lot of trade capital. There's a lot of items on generals that you can, take away to trade. So keep in mind that Zhou Xin has a concubine, and we might take one just to stabilize our relationship after we get rid of some characters. This is one of the few factions where you have just so many people available in the beginning that you can deal with. Jin Xuan. Oh, I can't believe... Oh, there's a builder here. That's also a little bit attractive. I can't believe no one else has a concubine. Like, he has 3 follower items, but... Okay. Zhong Zhuo. Sun Jian. That's an astronomer. Merchant. Okay. I guess we'll just have to do with 1 eunuch, which is fine. If you don't get any eunuch, I guess you could consider just restarting the game, because you technically haven't done anything. Oh, there's a legal fanatic. Because a eunuch is going to make your life so much easier. So right now, because of our -5 trade deal, even though we are at the Emperor tier right here, we can't actually make any trades because we lost 5 trade deals. And we have negative food, negative treasury. Things just look pretty bad on the surface. But actually, we're going to solve all of it. So we do have an army. And like we mentioned, He Jin is the leader here. He is historically, when the Yellow Turbans became an issue, Liu Hong gave him the job to take care of the Imperial army, to kind of protect the capital. Since he is your brother-in-law, you can trust him. And this is his Imperial army. Everything's about half health. And these 2 are captain units. So these are captain, not generals. They're just a captain unit, just like a typical retinue unit, slightly stronger, more health, as you can see, because it's full healed mainly. But the reason why he's really good commanding this army is because the Butcher of Quill has a passive bonus of minus 80% upkeep for Imperial units. So his army is pretty much free. He's not the reason why we're suffering from the economy crisis. The economic crisis is partially because of a bug and partially because of all the court system that you have. Because one thing, if you look at our money, our character salary is off the chains. Right, the base salary for a regular character is 345. This is from a base of 150, which is the most recent change on patch 1.5.2. If you're playing on patch 1.5.1, you're going to have a little bit different numbers because the base salary was 200. And this was changed from 100 when the game first came out. So there's been a lot of patch changes since when Mandate of Heaven was introduced. So given the 150, our eunuchs are making the salaries ridiculously high on our characters because each of them adds 10% to character salary. So we're looking at 345 at this point for our basic character. And if they're in court, looking at those guys in court, 805. These are our Grand Excellencies, our Prime Ministers, Chancellors, Grand Tutor. These guys are giving us 805. This is eating most of our income. Diplomacy, our money we're giving out. This is not hurting us because we're getting money in. They pay us tribute, we pull it, then we redistribute evenly back to all our subjects, but only a certain percentage of the tributes. I believe it should be around 80, but it actually looks more than that. Maybe it's 90%. Yeah, maybe it's 90% because I think it's about 10% off here. So you keep 10% of the tribute as your own. So if you get any tribute multipliers, that is if you get Zhengjiang as a character to join your court, which she boosts tribute by 50%, then you get the 50% here, but you still distribute the original 90% back. So you actually gain a lot more money. So you can get rich in an empire or in a vassal system with Zhengjiang as one of your court assignments. Others here is your family estate. This is where the bug is showing. You see how it's 2,040? 2,000 is the base family estate value. 200% of 2,000 as a bonus. This number here should be 6,000 per turn. And the economy in the beginning should be actually somewhere around negative 4,790. But if we look at Liu Hong as a character in game, you see that there's a typo. It says plus 2% income from family estate. And I'm pretty sure this is a typo when they did it for Mandate of Heaven, just no one seems to notice. Because you can also look at Xia Yun, who is one of our eunuchs. He's the financial genius, and he also only has 2% boost to income from family estate. And I think this should also be 200% boost from family estate. So this is something maybe they'll fix in a later patch. And once they fix that, the economy situation is going to be a lot better. But even with this handicap, we can handle it. There's not a problem. See, unit upkeep doesn't actually hurt. The army of He Jin right here is only costing us, well, technically 1,184. He Jin himself is 444. The other two captains have a charge, but it's not displayed here. Anyhow, we're going to max out our taxes because we need food. We also need tax. It's only giving us a little bit, like 100-ish bonus, but we'll take it. We'll take the food bonus mainly, and we will be hurt by public order. But public order is not a big issue. If we have rebellions around the capital, we'll just take care of it. What we're going to do on turn 1 to fix our court is identify who is our biggest problem. Our biggest problem in our court is Cao Ding. So Cao Ding is one of the eunuchs. He's our Imperial Chancellor, and he hurts us the most because he's a eunuch, so there's the 3 points passively, there's the 10% salary and all the bad stuff, and also he gives us 9 bureaucrat points by staying in this position. Now he does have some positives. He has the flexibility skill unlocked, so he will provide our armies with 25% discount to redeployment costs. This is just penny pitching here because we do have 99k, but the thing you want to do here is don't get rid of him first. Summon an army first and take this discount. Now the other problem in our court is these three gentlemen down here. Now, you might not think they're like, the biggest issue because Kong Rong here, 9 points of bureaucrat on this one character. But there's a few good things about Kong Rong. One, as we said earlier, he will leave on his own, right? He's going to be gone in the future. He's just going to leave the faction and start his own faction. And two, he gives us one trade agreement and plus 50% trade influence right now. And that's going to be slightly useful, so we can keep him here for now. These three characters here don't offer us much. Look at him. He's actually hurting our food production, right? This is Deng Sheng. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Zhang Wen gives us 15% upkeep discount for range unit, which is nice. So Imperial range units under He Jin is going to be 5% upkeep. But we don't need that bit of money. Rather get rid of him. Chen Dan also doesn't add anything for us. 1 satisfaction, minus 10 points undercover network cost. So we want to free these position up first. They also add satisfaction to our entire faction, right? Plus 7, plus 1, plus 1. So that's going to stop our plan of getting rid of the eunuchs from our court, because we want to get rid of these guys, letting them leave by themselves. So if we get rid of them, the entire faction is going to lose 9 points of satisfaction. And if we fire him, that's 12 points of satisfaction gone, right? This is also why, for this campaign only, we're not going to put our wife in as heir, because there's no reason to. I'm happy having no bonus from the faction heir position because I don't want his stat to help boost satisfaction to our entire faction and keep the eunuchs around. Once we kick out all the eunuch, fix up our court, everything looks pretty, we'll get a proper heir in. That's down the line. First, we fix this court. So how do we get rid of these gentlemen? Well, the game has patched quite a bit, and they fixed stuff like you can't send them out as spy now. As you can see, no one's willing to spy for us, even though we have spies available. And another thing we can do here is turncoats. Gong Sun Zan isn't happy working for his current boss, Liu Yu. So you could technically do something like this, where you turn him and then you convert his stats a little and you just extract him. So by turn 2, Gong Sun Zan is going to be joining us. Okay, so that's a neat trick you can do. Now, if you are patient and you want to gamble that Liu Yu doesn't give him a title and make him satisfied, you can also try it on turn 2, but I don't recommend it. The advantage is on turn 2, he might have new items, but the disadvantage is he might actually lose his Dreadbringer to Liu Yu. If he takes it away from him, or if Liu Yu gives him a title where you can no longer turn him, it's just a big loss. Don't take a risk, grab him now. Alright, so spy's there, but the game purposely made it so none of your characters are willing to spy, right? No eye symbol. So you can't get rid of them like as a spy. Send them out, then disown them. That's an easy way to get rid of them. You can't do that. You also can no longer in the court ask them for aid. Used to be there's an option here, if they're in your court, you can ask for aid. It hurts your satisfaction, but you get a little bit of money. But then you can keep asking every turn until everyone's so mad at you, everyone leaves. You can't do that anymore. The game did a lot of things to prevent you from getting rid of people. But what the game didn't prevent you to do is prevent them from fighting, because the game can't restrict you from using your own generals, right? That doesn't make sense. If you can't use them to fight, then you can't really play the game. So we can send them to die, right? There's a saying in Chinese called 君叫臣死,臣不得不死. What does that mean is Jun represents the emperor. If the emperor tells you to die, Chen is the general or official in the court, right? Jun tells Chen to go die, then Chen must go die, right? Just saying that if you serve the emperor, you follow his every command. And in this case, we're going to get rid of our terrible court by asking them to suicide into this looter army right here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to raise an army. And the first person we're going to raise is someone that we don't want to kill. We want to raise Xun Shuang. Xun Shuang is the fighter against corruption, has a population growth bonus. He is part of a very famous clan in the Inchuan region. He also has the brilliant trait, so we would love to use him down the line. He's currently our minister coachman. We're going to recruit him. we're going to put him inside our city, just a little bit of movement because we want to go here. And then we're going to get rid of these 2 units right here. Because in the future, if we get rid of this, we can just summon him without redeployment costs. It's going to work out perfectly. And what we're going to do is we're going to recruit. And the person we want here is Deng Sheng, who we identified as someone in our court in the Grand Commandant position that we're going to get rid of right away. And then we're also going to get rid of Zhang Wen. Zhang Wen, he's currently one of our Grand Excellencies, also someone who we want to get rid of. See, what the game didn't fix is something you can definitely exploit. One is a movement trick. The first general summoned, if you recall him, your whole army gains movement. So, like magic, we can move on turn 1. But as you can see here, we can't reach him because our movement's not enough. But if we get rid of these archers, which are infantries, that leaves our army with just cavalries. And now all of a sudden we can move much farther. So this is our brand new army that can move all the way to the enemy. Now ideally you might want another general, but guess what? We only have 3 seasonal deployment, so we summoned 3 generals already. That's our limit. Now why don't I get rid of the cavalry? Couple of reasons. If we have retinue on the general, then we can swap a general to take over the retinue, and then we don't have to pay up for the redeployment. And that's a key because one of our generals, Chen Dan over here, has a huge retinue. The game gave him a very expensive retinue, so you can't summon him onto the field to die. He has Imperial Palace Crossbowmen and Imperial Sword Guard. You're not paying for that. You can, you're rich, but highly advise you don't pay for that, right? Just let Deng Sheng die, and Chen Dan will take over, taking over his 2 cavalry unit, and you don't have to pay for this because your job is to get him killed. And all these characters are generic characters or generic characters with a unique background, kind of semi-unique here, but they don't have resiliency because they're not rank 4 yet. So without resiliency, you can send them in to die. And we're going to do just that right here as our first move, is go engage this looter army right here outside the lumberyard to suicide. Now you might think I'm, killing generals. Yeah, I am. That's part of this game. And to honor them, I'll tell you guys a little bit about who Deng Sheng was and who Zhang Wen was before we go in and kill them. So Deng Sheng is not super famous in this period. He is more well known as someone who spotted out the talents of Wang Yun, who is much more famous in this period. Now, Wang Yun was just a regular government official in his, humble beginnings, and Deng Sheng, who was already pretty high up in the government. In the game at the beginning, he is one of our, he's our Grand Commandant, but that's actually not historical. He was the Grand Commandant during the Yellow Turban Rebellion, but only in 184, not in 182. But he was already very high. You don't just jump to Grand Commandant. And during his rise in government, he spotted Wang Yun as someone with big potentials, and he, recommended Wang Yun multiple times and got Wang Yun to a super high position. And if you're not sure who Wang Yun is the romanticized version where he is the adopted father of Diao Chan, and he was the one who kind of orchestrated Dong Zhuo's assassination. So that's who he is, and Deng Sheng here enabled him by moving Wang Yun up the government throughout Deng Sheng's career. And he dies of natural causes in 185, so we're only killing him off a few years earlier for the peace of the court to prevent, devastation. So I can see that as a perfect win for us. Zhang Wen appeared in our Fall of the Han lore series, if you guys remember. He is the peerless protege, and he's the protege of Cao Cao's grandfather, Cao Teng, who was a eunuch. So Cao Teng is very well known as a very connected eunuch, helped raise many officials by moving them up the rank, and Zhang Wen is one such official. In-game, he's currently our Grand Excellency of the Works, which is pretty accurate. He will go on to lead an effort for the Han Empire to fight the Liang rebels out in the Liang province in the west, where he will fail. We see that interaction in our Dong Zhuo lore series. He commanded officers like Sun Jian. He worked with Dong Zhuo. But after he failed, because he was so good at bribing the eunuchs, because he knew how the system worked, he actually got a promotion to Grand Commandant for a very short period before the emperor heard about his failings and eventually sacked him to a lower position. So that's kind of his fate. No one to, feel really honorable about, given that he is a very corrupt official himself. So we're going to send these two guys to their death right now. Let's go. Alrighty, we're loaded up in here. We have an allied army from the Han lumberyard here. Don't have to worry about them. You have to keep your cavalry safe. Their job is to not die, so you can pass them on to someone else. And these two generals' job is to die, right? So what you want to do is run them up to the enemy and then dismount about halfway so they can't escape, because you're going to lose morale before you die. And you don't want them to run away from the enemy, you want them to fully die here. So you're going to dismount when you get closer to the enemy. So let's get above this hill and then we'll leave our horses here where they can stay safe. Alright, there we go. Let's dismount and die an honorable death. Let's charge at where they have a trebuchet, I believe. There we go. Charge! Charge! We can't see them. Charge! Alright, let them overwhelm you. You see how you're routing? You want them to chase you and kill you. That's why we don't want to be on a horse. Now, he might bounce back. He has 1 point, which is fine. Now, this looter army is really randomized. Sometimes they have cavalry, sometimes they don't. And if they have cavalry, you die much easier. Alright, if you don't have cavalry, then it's going to be a little slower for them to chase you down. I've seen so many variations of this army. I've seen them with like 3 trebuchets. It's really random. Alright, chase us, chase us. If they don't kill you this turn, it's okay, but it's not preferred. It's better if they kill you. We might bounce back. There we go. Charge again. We want to look for... Oh! He manually routed. We lost control of him. Like, we don't even see his card here, but he's clearly outrunning these guys in the snow. Oh well, guess gentlemen will live. So what happens now is we just pull these guys out. We got Deng Sheng killed, which is good enough because we want the owner of these cavalry to die. Now obviously if he dies this turn, save us another turn, but alright, we got defeated. He might get captured and executed. That's always a possibility. Alrighty, I guess Zhang is staying historical here, and by losing the fight and running out by himself. Exactly what happened to him during the Liang Rebellion. Alright, so he died, so now we can send a general in at no cost to replace him. And Chen Dan, unfortunately, is going to be the one to die next, simply because he is in our Grand Excellency position, so he's having the most influence on our bureaucrat situation. So we're going to send him in. Zhang was released, can't even die correctly. But Deng Sheng has been killed. Alright, so we have him gone. Now, he is injured, but we can get him back into the fight next turn, no problem. So we let that army sit there. We can summon another general next turn as well into the group to replace them. And we'll move back to our task at hand, which is our first mission, using our army to crush these looters right here outside Luoyang Trade Port. Very simple fight. It will give us 80 political influence. Now, because our units can't replenish, because as you can see, there's a minus 15% penalty to replenishment. You can't see anymore, but for Imperial units, it's very difficult to replenish. But what we're going to do here to make sure they stay safe is I'm going to let He Jin go in there and kill everyone himself. So we're going to fight this, and we'll also get used to our Imperial army. We can kind of read what they do. Alrighty, we're here with our massive army, well, massively injured army. So we have Imperial Household Cavalry. These guys can charge up, given that they have the missile resistance. They probably won't lose anyone, but why take the risk, right? And all Imperial units have this pairing effect, where if they're next to another Imperial unit, they get additional boost to melee evasion, morale, and melee damage, armor piercing. And what you want to do is basically fight in groups. You don't want solo units to run out ever. So we'll hide these guys. He Jian will solo the army, and the strategist himself. Imperial units are really good. They have all the formation unlocked, even if you don't have a strategist in the army. Now these archers are not going to be shooting at us because we are playing on legendary, so they don't fight back. They don't shoot arrows at generals. It's considered a waste of arrow for them. I think this is also true on very hard, but on hard they will fire back, which isn't a big deal because you have this to block arrows. Just let him rout. We're just trying to get done with this fight without taking any casualties on our army. And you don't want to kill everyone. You just want them to turn white here. That way you have a chance to get more replenishment back from the fight, because you're technically conscripting people, prisoners, into your army. I think you can get about 2% from this. No one's hitting you, but you're also a sentinel, so you don't actually do that well against enemy units. I'm gonna stay on him until he drops to white. Anytime now. There we go. Now we whack him a few times. And if you don't kill him, which is totally fine, you can try to capture him and get a release money from him. The army will die anyways. It's a preset early game army. So they get routed completely off the field after one fight. Alright, we win. No surprises here. Alrighty. Alright, so not only do we win with no casualties, we captured him. We are not going to be recruiting him because characters are just too expensive for us right now. Even though he's not a bad character. If you look at his bonuses, 5% to all income. The corruption sucks, but you don't have to make him into a leadership. Okay, but we're just going to be interested in 200 extra gold, I guess. And we'll get replenishment whenever you can, because your army needs it. Alright, we get 80 points of political influence, which we can use to fire one person. We get our next mission, distribute food to the starving people. We are currently starving ourselves. They want us to have 5 food surplus, and we'll get 15% income from peasantry. We will try to do that very simply by downgrading our capital city there. We also want to take this empty or raised out city of Luoyang Trade Port. Very simple. We get public order and faction support. We can do that just by taking it. Pay 4,000. There's no multiplier on that, so all the negative effect doesn't bother this. And we get to complete that one as well. And our next one is to own the entirety of one commandery, and by this they mean Luoyang, of course, as the looter army should take the lumberyard very soon, and then you can take the lumberyard back and you have the whole commandery. Now let's talk about buildings real quick, but before we do, we can do some firings here. We have our 80 points, and the first person you should always fire is Cao Ding, because he's a eunuch and an imperial chancellor. So here you have a couple options, and the best option is to banish. You get money and you hurt everyone's satisfaction. In the early game, your goal is to hurt everyone's satisfaction because you want to kick out all your eunuchs. So here we go, banish. Alright, so that's fixed. Unfortunately, Zhang Wen didn't die here, so we can't get rid of him this turn. But even so, we got our bureaucratic influence down to 68, which drops us by a tier, which, if you look at it, opens up to a trade route. So we actually have a trade route on turn 1. So who do we trade with? Let's see. We know that Zhou Xing has an item, a concubine, that we might be interested down the line. But we don't have to get it because we do have 7 characters on top to give us satisfaction, so it's not a must. So here, when we consider trade agreement, you have to consider 2 things. How much is the face value and what resources you will get. The resources you're most interested in is tea, right? Because we start out very small here, if we want to build it in building and upgrade it to the tea route, tea resource is very important. Wang Rui has tea. And I think that might be it. Liu Yan might also have tea. No, he doesn't have tea yet. The teas over here are abandoned. So the only faction with tea resource in the beginning is Wang Rui. So I highly recommend to just secure a trade with him on turn 1. That way no one else is trading with him, so that you always have a resource of tea. So even though his monetary value isn't that high, this is still my recommended approach here. He's willing to pay 1.8. We can take a moment just to see what he has. He has Uryat, which gives trade influence, also authority. It's a good item, but I don't think we're going to pay him up for silver. Nor are we going to give him any items. We just want some money back, potentially. I guess per turn's kind of hard for him because he's paying us a lot of tribute. So basically, they probably only have cash available. And we'll just take cash. You know, if we ask him for per turn, it's actually hurting us a little bit about how much we are getting from his tribute. So it doesn't really matter. We can probably squeeze out a few dollars, but this is good enough. Alright. So we have our first trade route. It's going to help our economy a little bit. We raise tax to the max. And now we're going to fix our buildings. But before we do that, we need to appoint an administrator. Now, like many other members of our court, administrators are also tricky because you can't flip them into other positions. So there's a little bit of finality to this as well. And the character I recommend here is actually Qiao Xuan over here. Now, Qiao Xuan has a really good background bonus of minus 100% corruption, but he's also really old. So he will die very often in your early game, which makes him a great character to appoint for a little bit of a boost before he dies, because he will basically leave your court, you know, by himself because he's gonna die, and then you can free up that position for someone else later without spending political influence. So he has attrition to hostile forces in your commandery that he's administering, and he has a lot of resolve, which gives a little bit of population growth, and he has decent amount of expertise for a strategist. So you can give him the jian, or even what's even better here is you can steal. So this is already putting him at 11%. Might not change very much, but might as well steal Yuan Shao's sword, because like we said, Yuan Shao is going to abandon us later on. So this puts us at 12%, you know, whopping 1 extra percent. He was at 9% before. And here for his item, so we do have extra resolve, extra expertise, so all these help. And none of these will help. So this is his outfit here. And we're going to send him in as our administrator. And what we're going to do with our build is that we're going to get rid of a ton of buildings. Patrol building, gone. Temple building, gone. Tax collection, upgrade. And over here, empty slot, we'll keep it empty. We'll keep the land development, and we'll keep the palace or the Ministry of Office building. And we are a large regional city, which is eating up tons of food, so we downgrade. Now, the population change in 1.5 helped us a lot because we have extra build slots. Previously, no matter how high your population was, you get 1 build. Now, despite the punishment of extra build turns, because we have really high bureaucrat, we can build 2 things at once, which rapidly make this campaign so much easier after 1.5. And so we're going to build that tier 1 in the trade port for now. And for the assignments, there is good eunuchs in your court. There is one good eunuch named Zhang Gong. He is a farmer eunuch. And because he's a farmer eunuch, he has -2 construction time for agricultural green buildings and plus 100% food from farming. So he's going to be really good here in the capital. And the other character you always want to use is yourself, because you have that unique reward official assignment that gives you 10 political influence per turn, 50% character experience, -10 public order, which is something we're sacrificing anyways with our tax policies, and -5 food production. So this hurts us for our mission, but in the grand scheme of things, getting that 10 points of political influence is going to be critical. All right, so that's set up. They're going to activate next turn, and next turn is when we're going to start building our government support here to match our peasantry income in the beginning, because we're looking for free buildings in the beginning. We're trying to spend as little money as possible because we have that huge penalty. Once we fix it, we can build as normal and change this into a commerce and peasantry commandery. So we have our assignments done, we have our administrators done, we have Gongsun stolen from the spying activity, and now we have to look at our eunuch situation, because as our leader, we have this awesome sword, right? Plus 12 authority, plus 8 satisfaction. We shouldn't be holding this because we don't want such high authority. We want to give these items over to our wife for now, who is no part of our court, but also kind of hurting from satisfaction. And also He Jin, who is our key general, also hurting from our satisfaction penalty that we're hitting ourselves with. So He Jin will actually take our sword, our heavenly sword, because it's the strongest weapon we have that he can use. So I'm going to give it to him. That 8 point of satisfaction will keep him happy enough to not leave us. And maybe we'll give him a stone pig as well. Eunuch, we're not giving him. Eunuch, we're giving ourselves. So Eunuch, we're popping it right in, and the satisfaction is going to hit us right away. And the minus authority is great too. And then our wife will take the sword from Kong Rong, who is also going to leave us in the future. Now this sword is also going to give her plus 5 satisfaction, keeping her slightly happy. If she starts getting angry, maybe we'll take the item from He Jin, because He Jin has more than enough points, so maybe we'll actually do this instead. And you can give her your horse too if you want. It's not going to lower your authority by too much. I don't think it's going to change anything. Right now it's plus 12 points of satisfaction. Let's see what happens if we swap it onto her. We go still 12. Yeah, we just have ridiculously high authority. We could drop this sword too, actually. 11. Hooray. 1 extra point. Every point count. So you can also go through your court to do the same thing for your other court positions. You know that Kong Rong is still your grand tutor. Make sure he has this sword and not the ceremonial one to drop the satisfaction boost he's providing. And then even though he's in your army now, he is still part of your Grand Excellency Corps. Same thing. Lower his authority by as much as you can. Switch his armor. Do whatever you need to do. And same thing with Zhang Wen. There we go. So now we lowered satisfaction pretty much as low as we can. And if you look at your court, your eunuchs are starting to get very unhappy with you. Right? Not only are they unhappy here at 12 points with lack of purpose, dropping them continuously down by 2 each time, you can call them to your court, say, here, I'll make you chief of record. I changed my mind. And then they get demoted. Recently demoted drops them by another 10 points. So now they're at 2 points. Next turn, when he gets 2 more points of lack of purpose, he's gone. So 1 more turn till he's gone. He's ready at 6. Call him in, be like, you can be the chief of record. Nope, we changed our mind. So he's gone. He's ready at 0. We don't even need to give him, a position. But make sure, your empress is happy. That's why if you get 2 eunuchs, these guys are all just knocked out right away. You don't even need to do this, give you a position and take it away business. But here goes our eunuch. Now make sure when you come down to Zhang Gong, don't mess him up because you need him to do your assignment for you. Zhang Rang, the Imperial Father, is gone. There you go. Zhang Gong is at 6. He'll be fine because he's still doing assignments, so he won't suffer any lack of purpose. And if he is getting dangerously low, consider giving him items or giving him a title so that he stays with you. He's at 16. You can do this trick and he'll be gone in 3 turns. Zhang Hong, Imperial Mother. Now these are called Imperial Mother, Imperial Father because you have to remember Liu Hong was taken into the court as a young kid because the previous emperor didn't have any sons. So you were a distant relative picked out to be the next emperor, and you were pretty much raised by these eunuchs who you nicknamed your Imperial Mother and Imperial Father. That's why they had such a bad influence on you, causing you to end up with very poor rule. But we are going to take over now and make sure things go great. So there are a few eunuchs with special titles that are hard to get rid of, and maybe you don't want to get rid of all of them because they do still provide you with a little bit of food. Once you get rid of enough, keeping a few around and using the 80 political point on them later on, it's okay. And you might even consider throwing him in court if you don't mind some bureaucrat bonuses for the replenishment bonus. But I wouldn't recommend it. I would just fire him a bit later. He basically has the humble trait, which gives him extra points, which just makes him hard to kick him out. He's selfless and humble. But then we have Sun Zhang, who's about to leave us. This is friend of He. He's dutiful, also plus 10 point. The He here is not He Jin. He is friend of the He clan of Empress He. So Empress He, being a butcher's daughter, married into the imperial family is very difficult. She entered the imperial court as a maid, a servant girl of sorts, but then managed to get the emperor to sleep with her. And then through a lot of bribery with the eunuchs, she rose up all the way till she became the empress. And it's also because she gave birth to Liu Hong's first son that survived in Liu Bian. So Liu Hong had a bunch of sons, but they died in childbirth, like when they're little, as baby, in infancy. And Liu Bian was the first one to actually live to his current age of, what is it in the game? 6. So he is Empress He's son. Liu Xie is not Empress He's son. It's another concubine's son. But Liu Xie's mother has actually been killed by Empress He because she felt that his position threatened her position, so had the mother removed. So Emperor Liu Hong asked his own mother, Empress Dowager Dong, to raise Liu Xie. So that's the story there. All right, all our eunuchs we went over all of them. We got rid of all the ones we could. If we look at our other court positions, we're keeping him because he's not harming us and he's being our administrator for now. And then if we look at the other lower court positions, we're getting these 2 guys killed next turn. And we can also summon a few of these guys to get killed, right? Cui Liet can probably die. He's very young. He's 18. So if he dies now, we don't have to fire him in the future. And Bao Dan, and then Feng Fang, and then Jiu Dan can also be killed because they represent the bureaucrats. And we really don't want any bureaucratic points at all. Even the lowest tier. Like, I don't want plus 50% construction cost, plus 1 construction turn, minus 1 trade, right? We want this to be close to 0. I think 18 point is per tier, and I think if you're less than half, it doesn't tick up. Like this has 2 points, but it doesn't tick up the full bar. So if we can just get it to super low level, we'll be just fine. And these positions, don't fill them right now. You might be tempted to fill them in and, start building your warlord, start building your dynasty. Don't, because if you do, that character is going to add so much satisfaction that none of your eunuchs is going to leave. So leave things be. Ignore the bonuses because the negative factors of the eunuch is much more than the bonuses. And at this point, we did our trade route, we did our diplomatic deals, we got our court, we got the buildings upgraded, we have the army set up. I think we're prepared to go to next turn and then just watch all the people leave. So let's go. All right, let's see. 1 unit gone, 2 unit gone, 3 unit gone, 4 unit gone, 5 unit gone, 6 unit gone, 7 unit gone. There we go. We're halfway there, and we fired 1 last turn, so 8 out of the 13 are gone. And our economy is looking a lot better, although our food is hurting because eunuchs provided 2 food each. That's fine. We'll work our way through it. But because all the eunuchs are gone, we actually dropped another bureaucrat influence tier. So that's helping us. And we get characters showing up in our court to recruit. So we can kind of take a look at them. So both of these support the dynasties. And I would actually recommend you just hire people as you see them. Zhou Shen also worked with Zhang Wen. He's the Sun Jian's old commander out in the Liang Rebellion. Sun Jian should technically be working for him right now, historically, but Sun Jian has his own faction to play. So there's that. So we just grab these because, we do want to build up a little bit of dynasty bonus. Maybe the second tier. I don't really want the minus 10 diplomatic relationship with all factions. So we can be a little bit picky here. Savant, 10% income from commerce, that's pretty good. Temperamental, minus 3 public order, that's not great. Plus 10% trade influence. All right, he's also a little old, so I might stay away from him. Trader, 15% trade influence, also surplus market. It's a pretty good assignment for trade influence sake. So basically he's a trade focused character, and we do have a lot of trade routes. Minus 5 corruption's good. So we might consider him for like one of these lower tier positions where it doesn't impact the bonus. He can just provide a little bit of dynasty influence. Also, he can be a good assignment character, being a sentinel. So we're going to grab him. And we can also go back to our spy. As you see, there's a pop-up here because we have available spies to go to other factions. Also, more turncoats. Jia Xu from Yuan Yi is willing to join us for just 2,667. Very cheap. And we can grab him, another unique character to add to our court in the future. So deploy, same mechanic, convert his cost structure, and then just extract him. So always keep an eye out for dissatisfied generals that you're interested in. Also new mechanic in 1.5 that helps out Liu Hong's playstyle. And for his court, what we can take a look is that Gong Sun Zan is unfortunately a bureaucrat. Right, so if we put him here in the future, he's actually going to give us bureaucrat points. So we might just use him as a general and not as someone in our court. It's a bit unfortunate, but that's the way the game designed him, even though I think he should definitely be a warlord character, logically speaking, you know. Alright, so this army is still here. They didn't attack the lumberyard, which is interesting. We're going to move our army back. They are healing, they were healing a little bit in the town, but now on the move they're not healing anymore. But that's fine. We get to recruit one more general. And the one we want killed is probably Cui Li. But he's really expensive to pull out, so we might pull out one of these strategists and make him replace them afterward. So who should die? Let's kill Jiu Dan, because I don't know who he is. Jiu Dan, like, he's not historically known. I mean, he gets Arbiter of the Planet, so I'm assuming he's the court official that reads the stars and give predictions for the future. But I don't know who he is historically. I can't connect the name with anyone. So I think he's good as dead, being 58. So we sent this army in. Alright, same situation. Try to get our general killed. It might not happen, but we'll try our best. Alright, we're loaded up in here. Once again, save the units. Let them just be in the back here. And then these three guys can be right here. Can't see the enemy, but that's fine. Let's get closer first. Maybe by that tree. They should be over here. Or maybe behind that hill. The AI, oh, actually, they will be behind these trees. The AI always hide behind these trees. No? No? Where are they hiding? I mean, it's a foggy day, but you don't have to play hide and seek with us. Oh, we found them. They're hiding in trees. Great. Alright, dismount. We don't want them to escape. Run into the forest and don't come out. It's actually good that they're far away from the other units. Can we default them to walking maybe? Maybe that will help. But then like the second they start fleeing, they'll be running. So it's not going to change anything. Alright. I'm going to try to get them to attack the general, who has a horse. But then where are their infantry? Oh, there we go. One died. Oh, try to kill the trebuchet. Those things are annoying. Alright, he escaped. He might not. He's slow. Oh, he's back. Get in there. Get in there. Wait, they ignored him. That's not good. Yeah, because it's in the forest, they lose vision and they stop chasing. Keep chasing us. Charge for the Emperor. Alright, they all died. Time to pull these guys out. And 3 more generals from our court are gone. Alright, so we got them killed. Now we talked about Jiu Dan and we talked about Zhang Wen. We actually didn't talk about Chen Dan here, who is actually quite an honorable guy. We feel bad about killing him. So he is a Grand Excellency during this time. He's historically accurate. And he actually came up to Liu Hong and told him about all the wrongs the eunuchs were doing. And because the eunuchs found out he reported them, they basically framed him and got him imprisoned and got him basically a demotion. And he was sent out as administrator in a northern commandery. And when the Dongzhuo situation arrived and the coalition were fighting Dongzhuo, he resisted in that northern territory. But because the northern part of China was under Dongzhuo's control, he was imprisoned for resisting Dongzhuo. And then after he was imprisoned in Chang'an at the time, when Dongzhuo was executed by assassination attempt from Lü Bu, he was released from prison, because he was a loyalist. But then Guo Si and Li Jue's kind of civil war broke down Chang'an into a chaos, and during that chaos he was killed. So he kind of was loyal to the Han the whole way, but not a good ending for him at every turn. And obviously in our let's play here, he's not having a good ending either. And we killed 3 more, and we get 2 retinues to replace people. So we said Cui Lie's retinue is a little bit expensive. Let's put him out here. And then we have Feng Feng, who is also a little bit expensive because he has cavalry units. We'll send him out here as well. So this first episode, at this point, we already lowered it to 35 points. Our court is almost fixed. We have 3 bureaucrats left, and of the 3, we can recruit Baldan here into our group. And officially, we have the last 3 here ready to die. And these 3, we'll talk about them a little bit. Cui Lie, I think the age is wrong, but historically his age isn't really recorded. But there's just no way he's 18 right now. Cui Lie is known to be a very famous scholar from the north, and he wanted a high government job a lot because he felt he was worthy, and perhaps he was. He was a very respected scholar at the time, and the only way to get a job during this period, because Liu Hong was very corrupt, is that you had to buy it. And the job he wanted was the Grand Excellency job, and the Grand Excellency jobs costed 10 million each, and he just didn't have that money. So he went to the nurse, I guess it'd be a nurse or kind of a godmother figure to Liu Hong, who helped raise him when he was a child, and basically talked to her about his desire to want a job, and made her kind of the negotiator with Liu Hong, where, let's say that the nurse goes to him and be like, Cui Lie is a really famous scholar, it's a miracle that he wants to buy a job. Let's give him a discount. Let's give him a 50% discount, right? So he paid 5 million for his job. And after he got his job, a lot of the scholars looked down on him, right? Said his reputation was kind of down the drain. And Liu Hong didn't like him either, because Liu Hong every time sees Cui Lie thinks that I made 5 million less. So Cui Lie never had a good run as the Grand Excellency, and during the Liang Rebellion, Cui Lie actually argued in court that maybe the Han Empire should abandon the Liang Rebellion because it just wasn't worth the cost. And many at court, kind of argued with him and debated that that's such a bad plan to give up territory, and basically he lost out there. And then later on, closer to 190, he got outbid for his own job when Cao Cao's father, Cao Song, wanted to give the emperor a big present. So he actually paid $50 million, 5 times the going rate for the Grand Excellency position, to kick Cui Lie out of the job and then get the job himself. And then after 6 months, return the job by retiring to Liu Hong, so that Liu Hong could sell the job again for 10 million. So Cao Song was very rich and also very good at, bribing and working in the government and getting on the emperor's favor. So Cui Lie had a pretty sad life. Even his son kind of looked down on him. And there's a saying in Chinese right now called tong chou, which means stink like copper. And because copper was the currency at the time, basically a lot of the scholars called Cui Lie tong chou because he bought his job with copper rather than earned it with his merit. Even though he might had merit, he just took a shortcut and then basically lost his reputation there. Feng Feng is another character who has an interesting part to play. He is the father of Lady Feng, who is Yuan Shu's wife, a very well-known beauty of the time. So if Lady Feng ever gets a portrait, she should be very good-looking, even though she has no historical relevancy here. But Feng Feng here is the son-in-law to a eunuch whose name was Cao Jie. Now, Cao Jie is not alive during this period. He died before 182, but he was very powerful even more powerful than these 10 eunuchs that were controlling Liu Hong, because Cao Jie was the eunuch that helped pick Liu Hong as the next emperor. And he actually walked over to Hedong region where he welcomed the young emperor. I think he was like 6 or 7 at the time, and brought him back to the capital. So Cao Jie was very close to the emperor, and he was the one who took down the regents at the time, right? He kind of freed up the emperor from regent control, but then helped the emperor fall into eunuch control, essentially. So he's a very powerful eunuch, and he had daughter. It could be adopted. It's not recorded in detail. Some eunuchs during this period were not castrated, so they don't have the the minus 1,000% chance. They could still have kids. And I don't know if Cao Jie is one of those, or that he adopted a daughter from his brothers, because they tend to adopt kids from their other relatives who are not eunuchs to have a big family, have influence. And Feng Fang here married into Cao Jie's kind of network, and that's how he had this job here. Baodan is not really well. I don't know why he's a complete confusion here. But then again, I don't know his life story that well. He's old. He's really well known for his son, who's Bao Xin, who's a very famous general in this region in Bohai, which plays a part in the Three Kingdoms story. And Bao Xin's biggest contribution to the Three Kingdoms is that he saved Cao Cao's life during the Yellow Turban Rebellion. So when Cao Cao was struggling in this region against the Qing province Yellow rebels, Bao Xin came down and helped Cao Cao and actually saved Cao Cao's life on the battlefield, giving his own life doing so. And Cao Cao survived and went on to become who he became. And Baodan is Bao Xin's father. So that's kind of his story. So we're set up here. Let's go negotiate a few more trade deals, because all of a sudden we have 3. We can even get 1 more if we get a reform. It's spring, so we get a new reform. And the reform we want, it depends. There's a few ways you can go here. You can go pretty heavy into the yellow tree, right? You can get more character salary reduction, satisfaction from commanders, which I actually don't recommend, because how many eunuchs we purged already, we don't really need this character reduction, and we don't want +8 to commanders, because there's still a few eunuch commanders left, and we want them to have low satisfaction. So maybe not principal way. You could go this route only because the next reform gives you the level 4 administrative office building, this one right here, and it gives you 16 points of political influence versus the 12 point you're getting right now. So you're getting to get your 80 points faster, right? Rather than every 7 turns, this is going to be every 5 turns, which is quite nice. Also, the fervor reductions key, also peasantry income is key. So throwing 2 reforms here, it's not so bad. This one's wasted because you don't have another administrative commandery to use, so you don't have administrative place, but this one's very useful. So you could consider this for sure. Another way is just go extra trade route. You have so many subjects you can trade with. You can get about at least 400 or 500 gold per turn right now. And if you build up your trade influence going forward, it's going to only grow from there. So that's obviously a better choice, I think, because as you trade with your subjects, you enrich them as well. And in turn, they end up paying you back more tribute per turn. So I like this one the most. So we're going to go with that. And given how fast I think this campaign will last, we might not end up picking that many reforms. So getting a few early trade route will be quite good. Remember, they haven't rebelled yet. They just taken towns, but they're not our enemies yet. So now we got another trade route. We have 4 in total. So let's find some trade partners. And everyone's available. There's a few that are very rich. One is the Han Empire, because they have so many different resources unlocked, because they own so many different territories. So you can definitely work a deal out here. Now they have a lot of cash on hand usually, so it's usually better to ask them for, I mean, you can always compare. Yeah, maybe actually it's not. Actually per turn is probably better now in this case, because they're paying us a lot of tribute. Can we do 37? Yeah, we can even do 38 maybe, so that's even better. Okay, 37. So 370 versus about 300. So we'll take the per turn here. And then if you want to score a marriage deal, Ding Yuan has Lu Bu as a son. So you could technically divorce and use your empress as bait to get Lü Bu into your faction. It just sounds too ahistorical to me that I'm not going to do it. We can trade with our uncle if we want, but he offers us very little money because he's not very rich. Dongzhuo is usually a good choice. He's usually one of the higher monetary values. Tao Qian, 523. Impressive, old man. So let's talk to Tao Qian here. 1.1's a little low. Is there any item that we don't want? Not really. We can trade the eunuch away after we clean up our court, but right now we still need it. So we might just only get like a little bit back from him, maybe 100. Okay, we'll take that deal. And then we have one more trade route. Let's see. I think it might be Dongzhuo here. He's very generous with us. We can compare, right? 6. So let's take the per turn gold. Alright, now we got 4 trade routes running. We have close to positive income. Food still takes some work. What you gotta do is keep downgrading. Now the thing you could do here to speed up your build is that although you have so many build penalties, I mean technically we don't even have that many build penalties anymore. We worked most of them down. The rushing speed penalty, it's still based on turn. So this is still the 4 turn cost for tax collection building. So we don't actually pay extra for rushing. Like these multipliers don't apply to that. So definitely spend your gold to rush. And then over here we'll build a government support to help our food. And if you want, you can rush this down too, but it's only 1 turn. Like you don't have to actually dump all your gold here. You're downgrading anyways. So this is a fine setup. We can wait on that one. The build you want here, my thinking right now is government support, land development, and then in building. We're definitely gonna tier this up, and then tax collection. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buildings. We're probably going to do 5 buildings for now and not 6. And the reason is we don't have the food surplus to handle it right now. So we want this to go down to a small regional city, so we'll lose a slot. And that's fine. So this downgrade should drop us how many food? 24 to 16. So that's 8 food. This will give us a little extra multiplier. And that should be fine right there. And we can switch some extra assignments later as well. And our court is still currently very empty, and it's intentional that way because we haven't taken care of all these eunuchs. He's at 4 because of, what did he gain? How did he increase? I thought he was at 2 last turn. The banishment's wearing off. That's unfortunate. So he will drop 1. Trace from people in power. Yeah, it's going to be hard to kick him out. Once the lack of power kicks in a little bit higher, he'll be gone. A lack of purpose, not lack of power. He has no demotion, but we're keeping him because he's our farmer. That's right. He's helping us build faster. We also have to wait out the lack of purpose for him. He's pretty much untouchable at this point because of the humble trait. That's fine. We'll use the 80 points on him and on him as well. He's 22. Probably want to use it on him first just because he's so young. He's not going to die from old age. Okay. So court's pretty happy. Dasu is joining us. Yuan Shao is angry at us, but I don't want to do anything about that. Gong Sun Zan's here. He brought a pretty big retinue and also his Dreadbringer, which is lovely. Dong Chong. He's a clerk, but you can't move him around. Used to be you can move him up over here once you have an empty slot. Oh, you can still do that. Oh, nice. Wait, you can move people? Wait, you just couldn't move them on turn 1. Alright, they didn't make it harder. Okay, so this is turn 2. We didn't lose anything, so this is good. So Dong Chong here he's the nephew of Empress Dowager Dong, who is your mother. So technically he is your cousin on the mother's side. He supports the warlords, even though I think because he's your cousin, he should really support the dynasties, but that's a minor thing. He's a clerk, so he gets -2 construction time on the builds. That's very good. You can't shift him up on turn 1, but you can shift him up on turn 2, which is excellent. So this one gives food percentage from farming and fishing, which is probably the best one that we can get right now. Peasantry income, that's also very good. Okay, hold on. If we can shift people around, let's play around with this a little bit. Dynasty. So we can shift these two guys up. His background bonus of 5k population growth is excellent. We will be boosting people's satisfaction by 1 point with him. And how many points with him? 8 points with him. Is that... Wow, why? He has such high... He has a trait. He must have a trait. Yeah, charismatic. Alright, so since we have our builds in, this is 1 turn. I'm not going to cancel this and rebuild it, even though... Actually, why don't we do that now that the percentage is lower? We actually save money by canceling and rebuilding. Yeah, I think with our unique situation, once they die, this will drop to 36 is the tier. We need to drop it below 18. So we can drop 8 points. 27 point bureaucratic influence. Okay. It's not that bad. He's not giving any bureaucratic influence, is he? No, he's not. Yeah, you don't get it from the administrator position. Okay. I think we take the hit. We get the extra peasantry income. We get the construction time bonus. It hurts our satisfaction plan, but we got rid of most of our unique. Like, the only ones are... This guy's really close. Like, really, really close. Oh, I made a mistake here as well. I should have canceled it, rebuild it for a shorter turn, since now we're 2 tiers down, because we were building it at plus construction time, like a bill in here, +2, +3. Now it's only +1, and then it costs us nothing to make that flip, and then the rushing time would be quicker too. All right, so let's put that theory to the test. We get our money back, and now it's still 3 turn, but it's cheaper because the ratio went down. I should have done that with that one. I don't think the turn would have been that much different given that's still 3, but it could have maybe been better. Not sure. I'm not gonna move Dong Chong up yet. I will probably move Xun Shuang up though. +5 population is very good. And then we can get either food bonus, and then we get some dynasty point, 9 points of dynasty, push us to 20, which will be in this zone. Extra assignment slot, which is great. Okay, peasantry income might be better than food right now. Right, let's do this. We'll wait on him. Do I want to move anyone into these positions for more dynasty? Not really. 17 is not enough. Right, we need 18. Oh, we're 1 short. Maybe we move her there. +3. He's a +3. That's pretty good. Charge speed, diplomatic relationships. I think we can do this one here. It doesn't hurt our salary. And then we have enough. Like the Empress probably want to be in this position. You can only put families here. Get 1 extra assignment. So maybe we do the Empress because only family members can come here anyways. Yeah, let's do it. She gets a salary increase though because she's currently at 0 by being a family member. But 1 extra assignment is actually really good. And then we get 20 points. Is that still not enough to... Yeah, 20 points is enough to tier 2. So we get 2 extra assignments here. So we can actually have people come in and farm and get our food fixed. And then he can come in and reduce construction cost. And also a surplus market for more money in the future somewhere else. Hold on. There's alternate ways to like level them up, make them have higher desire for court position. But they're all very far away from a level up, so maybe we won't do that. Maybe we'll just farm for food and also deal with our construction issue first. There's also replenishment one you can do if you have the right Vanguard character. Usually some of your eunuch have that Vanguard ability where you can get 10% extra replenishment. But that's fine. The army is very secondary. I don't know if I want to rank him up or if I want to rank him up. Dong Chong. If we rank him up, he can give us experience per turn on our unit. I think we're going to do just that. Wait. Oh, he's actually wearing the right armor. Alright, we minimize his gains here. So we'll level him up. And we'll also level him up for food. Alright, so that's a good, interesting find here. So Cornwall's obviously can be moved down. Wait a second here. We can cheese out the trade, but he's giving us a lot of trade influence too. So that's worth money. Because if you take him away, if we have the trade route already, it's not going to take that trade route away. Anyhow, we'll keep him there. Alright, we're good. Let's continue here. I think... Let me just make sure. Okay, solid. Yeah, we're good to go. Let's continue. Alright, the Zhang brothers. Rumors of them from Julo County gathering followers about to rebel. No big problem. Not going to worry about them just yet. Wooden Ox. Jia Xu has joined us. Let's see what he belongs to. Jia Xu. Oh, next turn. Wait. I thought he joins this turn. I guess we can't find out till next turn. Alright. The rebels have, or the looters have taken the lumberyard, which means we can take it back soon. We are starting to replenish because we are getting military supply bonuses, which helps our replenishment a little bit, but takes forever, as you can see here. And that's fine. No rush. You could help it out with, if you want to do a conscription building. Actually, that doesn't help replenishment, does it? Right, the Han Empire doesn't actually have anything that helps replenishment on the building front. Oh well. This is still one turn. I might consider a rush here, just to go a little faster. We're about to hit 2 million, hopefully. Yeah, we should be okay. Any other characters we can steal? Han Dang from Sun Jian. Not interested. Song Jian's actually interesting. So Song Jian's one of these horse lords out west, and he should have a bonus to reduce upkeep for cavalry. Maybe Qiang cavalry only, or just general cavalry as his bonus. So that might be worth it. Not sure though. We're going to keep our court slightly minimum as we build up right now though. We don't have anyone new here. We're going to send in our guys for the last charge here. Alright, suiciding. Charge. Alrighty. Our last suicidal charge of the day. Hide the units. This guy and this guy isn't hidden. Actually, you know, we should probably hide all the units. That way the enemy starts in the center of the town. Right. Let's go. Charge. You want to get them inside first. Because if they get whittled down by the arrows and start running on the outside, kind of, you know, waste your time. You want them to die. So you want to go in and then you want to dismount. run in, dismount. So now when you run out, you have to run through the towers. Alright, there's no way they survive this now. Oh, come on, chase him, chase him. Don't let him get away. Alright, so now the towers have a chance to finish him off. That's basically our plan. Okay. 600 per shot. Accuracy, 3 shots. Oh, there we go. 2 more shots. 3 more shots? Oh, come on. Oh, he's chasing. Is he chasing? We have 2 survivors. Are you kidding me? Is it this hard to get people to die? Yeah, because they don't have cavalry, so it's a big issue. That's very random too. Like, cavalry is not guaranteed. Alright, he's gonna make it. Lucky him. Cui Lie, though, might die. The tower is still on him. He has 4k health. He's getting hit. Chase, chase. Oh, he's getting into the forest. Oh, we want them to rout. It's okay. We can easily pull off a round 2 because it's a draw because we're sieging. Alrighty. So it's not over because we have 1 death, which is great. If you want, you could perhaps summon someone like Gong Sun Zan, right? Because he has a pretty expensive retinue, and if you want to use him as a general on the field, it's a good time to summon him now, right here. Yeah, we're going to do just that. Ah, Feng Feng has died. And we just go back in. Alright, so the problem here is we're going to get a draw at the worst, I believe. I don't know if the second fight matters or not, but let's start the battle. Alright, Gong Sun Zan and the units will hide in the back. Not everyone's hiding. Come on. Alright, good. They'll find a tree somewhere up here. No trees? Guess that's not technically hidden. There we go. Start battle. Charge them out. I should dismount right away, because this is the case that if they get shot by tower, they might just start running right away. Charge. See, he's already fleeing. There we go. Chase him down. Are they chasing him? I think they're chasing him, but he's just out of our control already because he's like completely routing. We're gonna give him some time until the units start turning back. You see, they're still going that way, which means they're still chasing him. And I don't know. I think he's dead. Now we can't tell. All right, let's just pull these guys back. Alright, with that fight... Oh, he died. Perfect. We gave him just enough time. Do we want to summon any other generals on the field? I mean, I think you should, because you might as well use Yuan Shao and Kong Rong while you have them. So, I say we summon him. We summon him instead of their retinue. And then we just pull out of this fight right here by breaking siege. And we're probably going to want to get rid of our infantry, which will probably speed up our movement a little bit. Get rid of these cavalry on Yuan Shao as well. And then if we march, I think we can get out of this mess. Yep. Run to our general. There we go. Now we're safe. And we have our court completely cleaned of unique influences. So we should be able to get another trade route too. Yep, a 5th trade route. How great. Who do we want to trade with? Let's trade with our uncle Liu Chong. 502. That's pretty good. Yeah, let's enable him.
我们有许多话要谈。
Now, what are you willing to pay us? Probably cash payment then. $209. Oh, that's too much. Okay. And I'm guessing 22 is out of the question. Yep. All right.
你我已达成共识。
So at this point, we have our court pretty much set up. All the bureaucrats are pretty much gone. The ones remaining, it's going to be a little tough to get rid of because we're trying to balance our court out. At the end of the day, we still want people in positions. He's going to take at least another 5 turns to get rid of. If we can get enough points for banishment, that'll be an instant -5 refresh on him. So I'm guessing we'll get that in 2 turns. That's a plus -4, -4. He'll still have maybe like 1 satisfaction point here at that time, which is a little annoying. He's a 19, he's very healthy. 13, yeah. These we just have to fire with points. There's no other tricks to get rid of them. And our court is very small now, but we can get that back up pretty easily as we move forward. So let's end turn, grab a save point at this time, and then we can end our episode. I think we did everything. Yeah, let's continue. All right, so we're going to end our episode right here. The looters are waiting for us to assault them with our main army, which we will next episode with our general's help as well. We got a bunch of new characters available to us. Xun You, Ziling, and Chen Qiu. Chen Qiu, okay. Cheng Qiu. They're all interesting. We'll talk about them next episode. And we're going to get Luoyang under our control. The Yellow Turban Rebellion hasn't even started. And I say we got the court fixed already. We're going to build it up the way we want to. Tier 2 Dynasty. And hopefully as much Warlord as we can. And we snatched up some legendary character. We can even take a peek at what Jiaxu is. He's also bureaucrat. Why is everyone bureaucrat? So warlords are very hard to find, but we have a few. We can put them to good use very soon. And with a positive economy and a bankroll like this, we can build some serious armies to take down the enemy and the Yellow Turbans. So hope you guys enjoy this one, and we'll continue with episode 2 next time. Bye!